Latka there, by the way. We'll talk about him in just a moment. What started out as a childhood dream has turned into a thriving business for one New York City woman. Latka's delicious doggy treats can be found on push carts around New York City and also on the internet. The doggy goodies have been featured on the Food Network, Animal Fair magazine, just to name a few. Joining us now to talk about this all is the creator and owner of Latka's Delicious Treats, Beth Goldberg. I got to talk about the name because it reminds me of a television show we saw. Is there an Andy Kaufman connection to your dog here?
Yes, there is. Latka is a Polish lowland sheepdog. He is of Slavic descent, and so I wanted to give him a Slavic-sounding name.
Right.
And actually, a friend said "Dibi da," which led us to say, "What about Latka from Taxi?" And it fit. And
I mean, does it come up when people find out that's the dog's name? Is
yes.
it, oh, Andy Kaufman, Taxi, and everything?
Yes. Yeah.
Now, he's a celebrity in New York City.
He is, certainly in our neighborhood. We can't walk around without people with dogs certainly recognizing him. People are always coming up to him and saying, "Hi, Latka," and I look at them and I think, have we met? And I realize that they know him through his dog treats.
Right.
We go into stores, we go into cafes, people recognize him.
Well, it's an interesting thing how you ended up baking doggy biscuits for dogs, because you wanted to have, you grew up with a dream that you would own your own business, food-oriented, but did you really think in the end it would come down to
Not at all.
cooking for dogs?
I actually, when I was growing up, I often thought that I wanted to have a small little bakery cafe. I've been baking since I was a little girl, and it was only natural that I would start baking for Latka and make dog biscuits for him, but that was really just a hobby. And what happened was I started offering them to friends and neighbors as just a little sideline, and it took on a life of its own.
Right. And you've been on some pretty big programs. You hooked up with Al Roker not too
Yeah,
long ago?
we were featured on the Food Network. Yep.
How did that go?
That was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
That was Latka's television debut.
Now, how does he feel? I mean, he doesn't know what's going on, does he?
I don't think so. I think he feels the excitement of going to new places, and when people recognize him, I think he thinks they're just neighbors being enthusiastic, but he's kind of a shy little guy, and I think he's the kind of celebrity who would go incognito most of the time.
Sunglasses, if he could fit them on his face somehow, some way.
Baseball cap.
Yeah.
Yes. Ducking in and out of stores.
Well, he wouldn't be the only celeb in New York that does that kind of thing.
Exactly.
You've tried them, come on. I mean, at some point when you're making them, you have to figure out how good these taste, and you can't talk back and forth to the dog. I mean, I guess you could tell if they thought it was good, but what do they taste like?
They taste like peanut butter cookies without sugar and salt, so they're a little less palatable to a human, but they taste like a very wholesome peanut butter cookie, basically.
So they're more healthy, really, even for a human if you wanted to eat one than a regular cookie, because it doesn't have the sugar.
Exactly.
Your doorman at the place you live, he actually eats them for snacks.
Yes.
What's up with that?
Joseph's going to love me for mentioning this. Whenever we go in and out of the building, I'll often bring snacks with me for Latka. Joseph will give Latka a treat, but before he does, he often bites off half for himself. And he's one of our biggest fans.
So they share a treat together.
Absolutely.
And they're the best of friends, probably, in a lot of different ways.
Latka loves him.
So when you know you got something pretty good, it tastes good, you're getting a good reaction from your dog, and you're getting good reaction from other dogs, how do you take it to the next level? Because you started out, you were just pushing a cart around New York City. There are other people that push carts around New York City that aren't quite have the business acumen that you do.
Well, I come from a marketing background, so I knew how to promote, and I knew how to do it on a shoestring. Without having a big company behind me and a big budget behind me, I really used a lot of grassroots techniques.
But that involved giving away a lot of free stuff. So in the beginning, you were taking a loss because you were just giving the stuff away. But eventually it caught on and things were good.
Yes.
And now people recognize you as the dog biscuit lady around. Are you still pushing carts around? Do you have to do? You have somebody else doing that for you?
Every now and then I make deliveries to stores on my own, but primarily I'm no longer having to do that.
Okay.
So.
Is life good for a dog in the city? Because when I go to New York City, I feel like I'm dodging people in taxis the whole time. And then I see a dog coming down, I wonder, all right, you know, where do they enjoy like a nice moment in the grass? Because there's not a heck of a lot of grass there.
Well, the city parks are New York City dogs' backyards. We go to Central Park several times a week. We live around the block from a park called Riverside Park.
But just walking down the street. I mean,
it's wonderful. Latka meets people. He meets dogs constantly. He knows all the dogs in the neighborhood.
Pretty good smells. Because you know how a dog does it. Does he stop and do that little nose up? And
yes. He has to smell everything in the neighborhood. It sometimes takes a little longer to get where we're going when I walk with him, but he loves living in the city.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of fun for both of us.
And you got somebody else doing kind of like the hard work, the humping of the stuff around, somebody else taking care of the marketing for you?
I focus on the marketing.
The distribution
yes.
of the
Yeah,
stuff.
I partnered.
No, we're past that point. We're on the next level.
Okay. Definitely past that part.
Nice talking to you, Beth.
Oh, it was wonderful.
Latka, thanks for being a trooper here. Latka's delicious doggy treats are sold on the internet and in stores in Maryland, Massachusetts, New Jersey, of course, New York, just to name a few. For specific retail information, you can log on to delicious treats.com. Here's Kathy.